Hey guys, welcome back to episode 21 of US Stock Market Technical Analysis. In this June 2021 episode, I'll be sharing with you my technical analysis of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq. If you have watched my previous US stock market technical analysis video for the month of May, in that video I shared that the US stock market at that time in general was a bit overextended. And based on my technical analysis, moving forward I believe that the US stock market has a higher probability of either correcting or moving sideways. And since that video, the US stock market has actually moved sideways for a while, as seen over on this part over here of the chart. Prices were basically moving sideways for the past 4 weeks. I'm sharing with you this not to say that I can predict where the US stock market is going to head to in the future, but rather based on technical analysis, we can identify with higher probability of success of where the US stock market is likely to head to in the future. And that is what I'll be sharing with you in this US stock market technical analysis video. Do smash that like button because it will really help the channel grow and allow me to produce more content such as this. Okay, so we'll begin with the S&P 500 followed by the Dow Jones and then the Nasdaq. So for the S&P 500, we see that the S&P 500 has been trading sideways for the past couple of weeks, as indicated on this side of the chart over here. This pause in the price of the S&P 500 over here came on the back of the huge price rise of the S&P 500 in the past couple of months. Prices do not go up in a straight line, even in an uptrend. So even in an uptrend where prices are likely to continue to move up, there will be instances where prices rise too fast, and what will tend to happen after this quick rise is that prices will either 1. Rest for a while, or 2. Correct a bit. In this instant, the S&P 500 rests a bit. Okay, so that's a broad overview of the S&P 500 on the weekly time frame. Now let's go on to the daily time frame and turn on the technicals over here. Back in my May episode of the US stock market technical analysis video, prices of the S&P 500 were around at this area of the price chart. At this area over here, prices of the S&P 500 were a bit overextended. And the first sign was that prices rose a lot in a short period of time. And the second sign was that prices were very far away from the moving average. So when I saw those two signs, I knew that there was a higher probability that prices are likely to rest for a while or even correct a bit moving forward. Which we did as we saw prices correcting and moving back to the moving average. And again, moving back to the moving average and then now moving up from there. So that's something you can pay attention to have a rough idea of whether the market is overextended or not. And you can also see that the moving average, in this case I'm using the 50-day moving average, has been proven to be a strong support for the S&P 500. Because there was this first test, second test, third test, fourth test, and fifth test. And you can see that in all 5 instances, the 50-day moving average has been able to hold up prices for the S&P 500, which makes it a good support. And right now over here, the S&P 500 has managed to break above this area of resistance and is just shy of its previous peak over here. So moving forward, if this area of previous resistance managed to become a support level, then we can see prices moving on to the upside from here. However, moving forward, if this area is not able to support prices, then we could see prices moving to the downside over here. And then the next level of support will be at this area of around $411. And I believe that this price level of around $411 will prove to be a strong support moving forward, if prices do decline to that level. And the reason is this. Firstly is that we see over here, this green rectangular area has been proven to be a strong support level for prices. The second reason is that the moving average will also be at that area moving forward. So not only will we have an area of support, but we will also have the 50-day moving average. So these two, in my opinion, will provide a lot of support for prices if prices do decline to that level. That's my technical analysis for the S&P 500. Now let's take a look at the Dow Jones. So we'll go on to the weekly time frame and we'll clear the technicals. We see almost similar things happening to the Dow Jones. In the past 4 weeks and the past month, the Dow Jones has also been quite similar to the S&P 500 that it has been trading sideways for a while. And again, this came on the back of the huge rise in prices. So this pause in the move of prices allowed prices to catch its breath before its next move. Let's go on to the daily time frame and turn on our technicals. So over here, prices rose up by a lot, and then it reached this level of around $348, and we see this very bearish candlestick over here. This was a shooting star candlestick, and it indicates to us that prices are likely to decline from there, which we did see when prices declined to here. It managed to find support over here, and then it went up, but it went back down again, find support at the same area, and then now it's going on the way back up. We know that this price level of around $336 to $337 is a strong area of support, because prices have not only found support once here, twice here, but also around over here. On top of that, if we use the Fibonacci tool, so it's over here, we plot it from this point over here to the high over here, and then extend it over here. You'll see that at this price level of around $336, it corresponds to the 50% level. So on top of the existing support level at that price level, the price level also corresponds to the 50% Fibonacci level. And that is why we see prices managing to find support over here and bouncing back up. And after that, even though prices fell back down over here, it fell back to the same support level and to the same Fibonacci 50% level. And even on top of that, at that level, there was the 50-day moving average, which has been proven to be a past support for the Dow Jones. So at that price level, we have three forces acting as support for the Dow Jones. And that is why we see for that candlestick, there was a very clear price rejection of that price level of around $335 to $336, all the way back up to this level of around $338, forming a bullish pin bar in the process. And when a bullish pin bar forms at a key area of support, there's a very high probability that prices are likely to rise moving forward, which we did saw in prices when prices rose up from here to over here. And right now, as prices are moving up, it is encountering some resistance at this price level of around $347. And this price area was also the area where prices formed its previous high. Moving forward, I believe that prices are likely to encounter quite a bit of resistance over here. And if prices do manage to break above this resistance, I want to see prices finding support at the previous resistance and then moving up ahead. But if the resistance holds, then prices might decline over here, and this area is likely to provide some support for prices. Furthermore, if the 50-day moving average catch up to this price level over here, we will have two forces providing support for prices. And this price level of around $341 might prove to be a strong support for prices. So that's my technical analysis for the Dow Jones. Now let's take a look at the Nasdaq. And then we'll clear the technicals. Unlike the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, Nasdaq displayed more weakness as compared to the Dow Jones and the S&P 500, which has been the case so far in 2021. Okay, now let's go on to the daily time frame to have a greater idea of what's going on with prices, and we turn on our technicals. So we had this huge decline of prices from here to over here. Prices declined by around 10%. But after that, we see prices managing to find support over here, and then it bounced back up, and then it found support over here again. So this price level of around $316 has been proven to be a strong support for prices. So that's something to pay attention to moving forward. Another thing to pay attention to is the 50-day moving average over here. If we take a look here, when prices were below the 50-day moving average, the 50-day moving average acts as a resistance to prices. So when prices reach this area, prices bounce back down, and then when it go back up again, it encountered resistance at the same 50-day moving average and it bounced back down. And over here, we see prices finding some resistance against the 50-day moving average, but it finally managed to break above over here. So now that prices for the Nasdaq is above the 50-day moving average. Moving forward, there's a high probability that the 50-day moving average will serve as a support for the Nasdaq, as long as prices of the Nasdaq remain above the 50-day moving average. And over here, after prices have risen by quite a fair bit, right now prices are encountering some resistance at this price level of around $335. Considering the fact that prices also encountered resistance at this price level over here, this price level of around $334 to around $336 is an area of interest for us. Because right now, if we zoom in over here, we can see prices rejecting from this price level. When prices reach this level, sellers step in to push prices back down. Moving forward, if the resistance holds, then prices might move sideways for a while over here, and wait for the 50-day moving average to catch up and provide some support for prices, which might give the push to prices of the Nasdaq to push above the area of resistance and move ahead from there. If prices fall below the 50-day moving average, then the next area of support that I'll be taking a look at is this price level over here. And that wraps up my technical analysis for the US stock markets for the month of June. If you want more videos such as this, make sure you subscribe to my channel because each week I release new videos about investing, trading, and the stock market. I'll see you in those other videos. To your financial success.